First of all, honestly, put your hands together for the man. He couldn't make it earlier today. He was feeling a little under the weather, but he made it, and we're so appreciative of you for stopping by. So come on, give him some energy. Really, thank you. I'm going to take a little different approach to this. It's the end of the day. Everybody's had a long day. We're tired, and you just came in. I'm sure, we appreciate your time, but I want to dig into your brain a bit. I think that's, you're a polarizing figure, obviously, in our industry. You're extremely humble. This isn't the first time I've spoken to you on one of these, and I learn a lot from your words, Mr. Sandeep, right? I've learned a lot from what you yourself, your network, your co-founders, everything is just amazing, but I really want to learn about, and I think it would really benefit everybody here today, because I don't think everybody knows, Mr. Sandeep's story here and how he came to be. Just give us a little background about pre-Polygon, where you came from, and how did this beautiful mind of yours come to be building, the Polygon network?
Yeah, I mean, from a background, I come from a very humble background in India. I was born in, kind of a tier 3 town in India, and, was there for a few years. And then my family, just like everybody does from our state, they migrate into larger cities for in the search of employment and everything. And my father was basically in the courier, not the delivery, but the parcel department and all that. So, for all my life, like my father used to make like $80 a month, right? So maybe around like $2.5 and this is till like 2014 when I actually graduated from my higher education. Till that time also, like, my household income was like $2 or $3 a day. And so obviously, like, and from that background, there were a lot of, like, issues when you are there. So I've seen a lot in my life, struggles and all that. But then from my side, I was good at studies, but it was very clear in my mind, I don't know why, but from very early age, I wanted to do something big. Like, people think that, from day zero, you have these big visions and this, like, what do you want to do and all that. Like, I did not have any vision. I simply had one vision, that I'm going to be someone big someday, right? I will do something big. And it was like the whole life has been in the quest of finding that big thing. And even if coming from that background, I cracked, or I got into engineering in India, got loans from bank and all that, studied all my life on bank loans, which in India you can get if you get into a good college. Even though, like, somebody coming from my background, like, the obvious answer would be to, simply get a good education, get into a good job, and then, figure out things later on. But as I said, that I was fairly ambitious. And, throughout my whole college life and all that, I did all of these startups and, small projects, side projects, this, that. And all of that, like, kind of gave me, kind of experience in various different sides. So I've been a hardcore programmer myself. Then I've been a hardcore marketeer, hardcore supply chain, like, in various phases of my life. And for a good amount of time, like, I mean, if you met me in 2016, I would actually tell you that, you should actually try to get expertise in one particular field and become an expert in that. Because that time my experience was like very varied experience, and I was like, my friends who had individual specific experience, they were doing much better, or they were actually looking to do much better. So, but then, like, I did multiple startups like Polygon. I've done startups from like hardcore tech startups to, which includes Polygon, GPS related, like, trucking systems and whatnot, like kind of Uber for commercial trucks at early stage. I've done e-commerce and this and that, multiple things I did. Just before that, I was actually doing, startup before Polygon. My previous startup was a B2B marketplace, like kind of Alibaba, but for services in India, like the way the whole China is manufacturing hub, and Alibaba created an outward facing front, which is quality control and all that. I wanted to do that for the services side. So I did that for 1.5 years. it was going well, but it was not scaling. And I wanted, as I told you that, my simple quest has been that I want to do, and I started making good money and all that for my family background, everything. But I said, no, I will not do this because this will not become big enough, will not scale. So then I started reading more about AI and blockchains and all that. And when I stumbled onto blockchain, I realized that as a computer science engineer, I thought that, okay, this is somebody has figured out a way to do this small computation, which is payments, right? And issuance of that currency in a decentralized setting. What if we could do complex computation in this decentralized setting? And I think it took me 3-4 weeks to stumble onto Ethereum. And the moment I found Ethereum, I said, this is exactly what I was looking for. And from that day on, I was all in. And I went back into programming, did a lot of things and whatnot, and then eventually met my co-founders and all that, and we ended up starting Polygon.
As they say, the rest is history, right? Yeah. I was going to ask another one, but you brought up the AI, right? That sparked your interest a long time ago. As a preface, this next question was written by ChatGPT-4 one day after it came out. My friend said, just wing it, get up there. And I said, should I try it? I've never, done this for interviews. I said, let's give it a shot. And this is what ChatGPT-4 came out with one day after. Impacts to the cost and speed of transactions is a major factor of the popularity of the Polygon network. What advice would you give businesses and organizations looking to integrate the Polygon blockchain into their operations, and how can the ZK rollups and other layer 2 solutions help address some of the challenges associated with this process? I'm only laughing because how freaking amazing was that was that question? It literally, that's the interview, guys, so did you get all that? I think you did, but impacts to cost and speed of transactions is a major popularity factor, and what is the ZK rollup and other layer 2 solutions going to do for that?
Yeah, obviously, I think even now with the blockchains, the biggest challenge we have today is scalability. We all talk about DeFi and we talk about mainstream, NFTs, whatnot. But the fact of the matter is that in order to go mainstream, we still don't have the scalability. If you see this industry, sometimes with all the people around, I even joke that people from all the founders from various blockchains and DeFi projects and all that. I was recently with Stani also. I was saying that this industry looks to be a big scam if you look it from outside, because you have this $1 trillion market cap almost, right? 800 billion to 1 trillion, and the daily active users in this space is hardly 2 to 3 million. A mildly successful game has more users than this. So, the problem is that even if somebody was able to find out a mass scale use case, they just don't have the technology to scale it. What if Instagram wanted to do NFTs for everyone and allow trading and this and that? Of course, regulation is a big problem, but scalability itself is a very big problem. You can't allow an app with 10 million, 20 million users to start minting NFTs. It will break all the chains. I'm saying all chains combined. I'm not saying 2 million, 3 million daily active users with one chain. I'm saying all the chains, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything combined is 2-3 million daily active users. So scalability is a big challenge, and obviously Polygon is on the is trying to provide scalability on layer 2. So obviously a lot of developers use Polygon, and it has now network effect. So many protocols are deployed there and things like that. But beyond that, I think with ZK rollup, ZK actually is if you speak to the researchers and all that, ZK is supposed to be the end game for scaling. Because in ZK, what you can do is you can do a lot of computation somewhere else, and on a public blockchain which is secure and decentralized, you can just prove that everything was done correctly. Imagine how big that is. That if let's say a large player like Instagram itself, for example, they can have a single operator ZK rollup somewhere where they can mint billions of NFTs. Technically, not theoretically. Right now, creating the proof is difficult for that. But let's say they do 100 million transactions. They can create one small proof and just put back on Ethereum or some public chain which is secure enough. And everybody knows that Instagram is computing the transactions in the way that they have described, right?
Right.
And this is one of the biggest power of smart contracts. Smart contract is exactly this, that you have, you specify as an application that this is how I'm going to compute your transactions, and you compute exactly like that, right? This is the main power of smart contract. Like, we know that blockchains provide a self-custody decentralization, but the power of smart contract is, I call it like verified compute, where you know that this is how your application is going to behave. And imagine if you could have applications with ZK technology where they can compute large computations, but they just provide succinct proof back that everything was correct, and you can be. So that opens up the new horizons for scalability, and that is the exact reason why like everybody feels that it's the holy grail. And we have our ZK EVM, which is the first zero knowledge enabled mainnet that is coming in on 27th of March. And I think this is going to be an inflection point. Like, it will get in public, it will get battle tested 1 or 2 months here and there, and then after that, there is no looking backwards from this. And I think, yeah, we are poised for a big growth in the blockchain industry in terms of users and applications once ZK technology fully blossoms.
So we can look forward to that in a week's time. Next Monday, you're going to be launching that, or it goes live. You mentioned the NFT in the billions and potential for someone like Meta or Instagram, because quite literally overnight you would have billions of these things. To name a few: Starbucks, Instagram, Adidas, Stripe, Adobe, Flipkart, Reddit, Disney, DraftKings, and 40,000 other dApps have been built using Polygon. I would like to discuss, a little bit of the partnership side. You guys have absolutely crushed that side in the last 18 months. You've brought on kind of corporate partners that we didn't expect to come on so quickly in the industry. And I think you guys have absolutely done a fantastic job there, which opens up a lot of new doors for other people and other companies. And quit hogging them, will you? Will you just relax? I think that we need some to go around to to the other side. But as far as it pertains to the ZK rollup and the layer 2 adoption, any other partnerships that you're excited about? Most of those are on the NFT side, right? For obvious reasons of cost and speed. Is that currently the biggest advantage here, which for these brands and for future brands with the new ZK? Is there anything else we can look forward to?
It's the both things, but I think it's network effects also, because eventually all of these NFTs need interoperability and everything. So once you start having a flywheel, then it's easier for you to bring in new people. Apart from that, but these are all NFTs, because NFTs are the ones which are unlocking these new use cases, or where brands want to use NFTs as engagement mechanisms or building communities, right? Like,
right.
Right now the whole world the marketing is all about branding, but people are realizing that slowly it's all about communities, right? Where you build these small, closely knit communities, which kind of, propagate your brand and everything. So NFTs are obviously the biggest, but then after that, like, I also constantly keep thinking that what is the next frontier of DeFi? The next frontier of DeFi is going to come from, your institutional players, right? Like, eventually you need people who are issuing the treasury bonds, let's say, on chain, or like, right. As you would have seen, Siemens, for example, they issued their corporate bond, $60 million, which got sold out very easily on blockchain. And we have so many big, like, multi-deca-billion-dollar funds who are looking to securitize their fund. You must have heard about Hamilton Lane and things like that. You are going to see much bigger announcements where like, and all these, like, for example, Starbucks and all that, these are not announcements. Like, Starbucks is already doing their ODC program. We can already see huge number of on-chain transactions coming in from there. So Reddit, for example, has 12 million NFT holders, which is combined is bigger than all the NFT platforms together, right? It's just that they don't have the speculation piece of it. So the industry focus is not on the Reddit NFTs, but it's like a very small part wherein, or like kind of a small catalyst where something catalyzes their, like somebody buys an Reddit NFT for $100,000, and after that you will see huge amount of volume coming in from there. So we are currently focused on the base part of it, right? So Nike swoosh, for example, is very big. But these institutions are going to bring the next phase of DeFi, wherein the next level of liquidity will come. Otherwise, right now, if you see, DeFi is basically this, circular movement of money going from one whale to another whale, just like, trading on these DeFi platforms. The daily active users is very, very low, like, from 40K to 50K. It's not what crypto should stand for.
I think you answered kind of my next question, which is what excites you. But I think Mr. Ryan Wyatt, your president of Labs, said that gaming will drive the mass adoption into Web3. Obviously, we've heard this before. Many have agreed and said the same. Do you also believe that to be true for Polygon in the next phase of your corporate partnerships or otherwise? Given the transactions and volume.
I think with this brand partnerships and these announcements of these apps, I think what got buried under is this gaming. Like, I don't know, many people know that Polygon is absolutely the biggest player on the gaming side. Like we have like 55 to 60% market share in gaming. And today, GDC is the first day of GDC. Today, we are going to make an announcement which will completely change the market structure of gaming and take Polygon to like 90% of the gaming market, actually. So, watch out for that announcement today. It will come out in the San Francisco morning time as the keynote in GDC.
Obviously, you guys have been the leader as it pertains to zero knowledge, right? I mean, clearly, this has been your MO for the last 18 months, and it looks like for the next 5 years, from other people I've spoken to from your team, this is a big piece to your pie for the next 5 years. But demand for it, right, and layer 2 solutions in the coming years. What is Polygon's role in the industry? You're clearly wanting to be the leader. We hear your ambitions. We hear the great things you're doing. You're going to take up 90% of market share of what gaming is going to offer as it pertains to whether it's NFTs or in-game or assets. Do you guys see yourselves as the leader right now in that? And is that going to only further break itself away from the pack?
Yeah, I mean, like as I said that, what are the largest segments? Like DeFi, recently because of this Arbitrum airdrop and all that, I think Arbitrum is like at rank 2. Like I'm like, removing BSC and Tron in between. Like Ethereum, from the Ethereum ecosystem, I'm saying Ethereum and like now Arbitrum is rank 2 and Polygon is rank 3. That's DeFi, right? So top 3. Gaming, Polygon is absolutely the number 1 in that. Like, not even like Ethereum, BSC, nothing, nobody comes in between, right? NFTs, Polygon is like, there's Ethereum, and then that's the only piece that is remaining with Solana, and Polygon is number 3rd on that. And that also, we are climbing very fast, like 200% month on month. And I think it's a matter of like 3 to 6 months where Polygon will be the number 2 platform in NFTs also. DAOs, again, Polygon is the number 1 platform. So all these bigger kind of sections, brands, like there is absolutely no comparison with Polygon, right? So in all these 4 or 5 bigger categories, Polygon is either the number 1 or a part of the top 2, top 3, right? So, and this is what has been my quest, like as I told you, that the mass adoption of Web3, and this is what it reflects on our growth statistics. Like everywhere, we are focused on how do we get more users into it. Like we are not focused on these crypto games and like the speculative markets and all that. That takes care of itself. We just focused on how do we get 100 million users to start with in next 3-4 years in Polygon. The rest, everything will take care of itself.
Gaming on one side is obviously a huge boost to adoption, multi-billions of gamers out there, that's clear. Another thing that's really exciting that you guys are working on that can add a couple another billion on this side is identification, ID. Yep. I recently learned about that, and I'm really excited to hear your words about how you guys are tackling identification. Obviously, it's a major problem, from verification to identity itself and security. What are you guys doing there, and how are you guys solving kind of the massive issue of identification?
Yeah, I mean, with blockchains, like I think the Sybil attacks is the, like for example, recently this news also with, again, giving the example of this airdrop that is like, this is coming in, like there have been multiple reports where few people with multiple identities, multiple addresses are, farming the most piece of it, right? So I think that's the biggest problem, for the apps to really become bigger. It was the problem with the Web 2 applications also before this email verifications and all that became really, really popular, right? Otherwise, it was so easy to create multiple emails and then, create multiple accounts in Web 2 also.
Right.
So how do you solve that for Web 3? And I think that's why Polygon is razor focused on the infrastructure layer. But I think for taking the, the adoption to the next level and making blockchains really backbone of the global financial systems and the value creation and distribution, I think identity is the most important piece.
Absolutely.
And that is the second piece that we are, focusing on building, which is Polygon ID. And already the signs are the platform is not even fully out yet, but we see huge amount of, traction on that. When we go to the hackathons, all people are looking to build is something on top of ID and all that. And the other part is it's an open source platform, right? Here also, if anybody wants to build an ID for profit business on top of it, it's an open source framework. Anybody can pick it up and start building their businesses on top of it.
And right into the next question on, we have a lot of builders in the room. If you're still in this room, in this environment, with the economy as the capital markets, in the crypto winter, all the buzzwords of the headaches that we've, survived and we're here, we're still kicking and screaming. There's a lot of builders in the room. I know a lot myself. What is your advice to them? What is your advice to the builders? You just gave a little bit of it on the ID part. Is there, gaming, ID, the NFTs, as it pertains to Polygon specifically? Well, you're talking to the builders right now. Give us some advice for the builders that want to continue working on Polygon or adopt Polygon if they haven't already.
I mean, so general advice to the builders in this space is that, don't go with the token game too fast, right? The most successful tokens are those tokens which actually build the community, build the business. There is already a huge amount of traction and people are crying for the token to come, right? Many builders, what they end up doing is, because I don't know, everybody wants to have that token going live public and then, they have more treasury, all those things. I think that's a wrong way to do. You build your applications, build community and then launch a token. Don't rush into the token game. A dead token, once you launch a token and there is no activity on that, it's extremely hard to revive that token again, right? So don't rush into the token game. Build your startup the way you would have built a normal startup where users and everything is there. You need to have some sort of business model also. Many of the times every builder is okay, when I ask them, what is the utility of your token? And they'll say, oh, you use our token to buy something in this. You want to make your token a currency? It's so hard to make, tokens a currency. It's in the history of mankind, there has always been one or two global currencies. Right, in this case, right now it's USD and all that. Even BTC has a hard time becoming a currency, right? So it's very, very hard. So instead of making your token currency, study more about governance models and all that. You can make USDC as your payment token in your application and just charge that small transaction fees or whatever is happening, transfer of value, that fees you charge from the user. This goes a part of to your DAO, and that DAO is essentially the governance of the DAO is by your token. Of course, then you have to see how you can make it more differentiated from a security. But those laws and everything will improve, slowly and steadily for these community-owned businesses. And so that's my biggest, advice to them. And second bigger advice is that don't go for, I meet a lot of people who are right now, okay, we want to implement blockchain into healthcare and they want to do a token, right? So either you are implementing blockchain on healthcare and you are doing it a pure Web2 business model, perfectly fine. But if you want to have a token and Web3 native stuff, then you have to see how you can have more Web3 nativeness into this. Don't do, let's say I am doing a project on supply chain in this and I have a token. that never succeeds because the Web3 core community, because when you have a token, you have two products. Like one is your actual product, one is your token, then becomes a product. And then there is nobody who believes in the product from the Web3 core community, right? So your token is never able to, kind of even fly. So the token needs to have fundamental utility, plus you need to make it more Web3 native. Like don't make it pure corporate-y or enterprise-y, because nobody's going to, pick up that.
You heard it. If you're going to build for the future. That's what I got of it. Don't build for tonight. It's difficult in our industry.
I'm a big proponent of build for users.
Yeah.
Like if you need to have users who are ready to pay something into your, which is like a simple business everywhere, right?
Right.
People should be willing to pay something, and a part of that goes to your profit. And that profit later on can be, kind of tokenized into a form of governance, DAO, whatever it is.
I'm going to leave you with this. He said it in the first couple minutes. Direct quote, "I've always said I will be a big man. I don't want to play small, and I hated losing. Passion, manifesting, greatness, belief in true character, success. Your job's not finished here, I can imagine, right? You're just getting started."
Absolutely. Like, as I said, that was my thought process when I was starting. But now I've reached a place where most of these things have been like, kind of have been there, done that, seen it, right? Like met big people, have been to big conferences, this, that, whatever like big man experience is there, right? But then once you grow, you start with that. All I was telling is that, a lot of builders, they think like from day zero that, oh, I don't have a vision like these big people on that. Maybe I'll make it or not. This statement when I give, I just tell everyone that, nobody, when you are starting, nobody knows where you are going to go. Nobody has a big vision that this is how you're going to change the world. But what happens is that as you graduate, as you grow, then your vision should evolve. And now I have a vision today, right? Like, all these things are aside for me, like financial security, all those things are sorted for me. Now what my mission is to bring like 100 million users into Web3. That's my mission. And then once you reach 100 million, is kind of a benchmark that, once our industry reaches 100 million users, then it's like mainstream technology. It will become billion automatically. You don't have to fight for that after that, right?
And that's your dream for Polygon. That's your dream for Polygon.
And for Web3
and for Web3 in general. And 100 million is just the tip of the iceberg, because once you get there, it steamrolls very quickly into a billion and on from there. I think that's what you mean by that.
My job will get finished once we reach 200 million. After that, it's
200 million? Okay.
No, 200 million. Once I reach 100 million, then the industry has matured.
Sure.
And I will do something more exciting, something new.
Okay.
But the 100 million is like people like me. That's our responsibility, I think.
I think you'll get there very quickly with the ID, because that's an incredibly useful tool for billions, right? So 100 million is just the tip of the iceberg. Since the last time we talked, I believe you became a father in November, right? So,
thank you.
For the new fathers in the room and for our friend here, I learned a lot. I really appreciate your time. We'll get to 100 million, we'll talk, and I bet you 200 million is like a couple weeks after that, because this is the hard one, right? Yeah. The hard part is getting this, but I think you got some exciting stuff going on in gaming. We heard some advice on the builders here. And build for Web3. Again, that's the idea, build for Web3, because once we get there, it's off to the races. So really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Sandeep.